It's as picture perfect as a college can get. But Sarah Lawrence College, set on this idyllic campus outside New York City, is also a portrait of what college in America has become. Really, really expensive. In fact, Sarah Lawrence has the dubious distinction of being perhaps the most expensive college in the nation. What does it cost to be a student at Sarah Lawrence?
The all-in costs for next year will top $60,000.
$60,000 for 1 year?
For 1 year.
University President Karen Lawrence insists her school, which provides an average of $31,000 in financial aid, is worth every penny.
90% of our classes are seminars, with an average of 11 or 12 in those classes.
See a lot of masks,
Those small classes mean lots of faculty, and that costs a lot.
You are paying for the attention of the faculty. Their salaries are not inflated, but you
need more people.
You need more people, and that's where the money goes.
Sandy Baum agrees. She's a senior economics fellow at George Washington University in the nation's capital, which at $55,000 a year is pretty pricey too.
In other industries, we found ways to produce things using fewer labor hours, using more technology. We haven't really figured out how to do that in education.
And so,
result? College tuitions have risen at twice the pace of inflation. In fact, they've doubled in just 10 years.
Faculty salaries have been pretty stagnant, but their compensation goes up when healthcare costs go up.
Higher costs, growing enrollment, it all adds up to a mountain of debt. The nation's total student loan bill now tops outstanding debt on all of our credit cards. $1 trillion and counting.
More and more students are having difficulty paying for colleges, which often forces them to borrow more.
Mark Kantrowitz is the publisher of FinAid.org.
Last year, the average debt at graduation was $27,200. If you throw in the parent loans, it's $34,400.
Last month in Washington, students showed up at Sallie Mae, the student loan agency, protesting the higher and higher cost of a higher education.
We owe!
And last week, still more protests.
$1 trillion!
I absolutely see this as a crisis. It seems that every state, every school proposes 10% increases.
Natalia Abrams is an organizer of a group called Occupy Colleges.
I would say at least once a week we have at least one school protesting against student debt.
Enter the politicians. President Obama worked the college circuit during the week, decrying a plan to sharply increase interest rates on federal student loans in July.
Tell them now is not the time to double interest rates on your student loans.
Republican rival Mitt Romney was close behind.
I fully support the effort to extend the low interest rate on student loans.
But how to pay for it?
The bill is passed.
House Republicans voted to use money set aside for the Obama health care program, certain to be a non-starter with the president. For their part, Democrats proposed closing tax loopholes for oil and gas companies. Now, it's the Senate's problem.
What we can do by passing this legislation is make it so that the students who borrow next year will have loans with lower interest rates. But there's still lots of students out there with interest rates that are higher than 3.4%.
All this in an economy struggling to create jobs for all these students with all that debt. In Pittsburgh, Shelley Buffone is a recent political science graduate.
I think it's been really one of the silent killers of this economy because there's so many people that, would love to buy a house, would love to get a new car, just add to their life in the natural ways that most people do. But because they're really, struggling with so much debt, they're not able to do that.
She's part of a program allowing students to work off loan payments by volunteering.
It's allowing me to give back to the community and at the same time still maintain my financial responsibilities.
And if you thought private college costs had gone up a lot, well, it's nothing compared to many state universities, which educate 80% of the country's students. In California, state university tuitions have increased more than 50% in just 2 years. Sandy Baum says, just follow the money, or lack of it.
States are not funding as much of the expense of educating students as they used to.
At Santa Monica College, President Chuy Sang has had to hike tuition and decrease course choices for his community college's 30,000 students.
Between 2008 and now, we have to reduce our offering each year by 1,100 sections. 1,100 sections. That's a tremendous impact on the students that we can serve.
Students like Jasmine Delgado are struggling to enroll in the limited number of classes needed to get a transfer to a four-year college.
I've come from a low-income family, and my mom's our only, provider. My father's disabled, so it's scary.
Last month, President Sang and his board thought they'd come up with a possible solution: provide 50 extra classes while charging triple the cost. Enraged students promptly made it clear: no sale.
The crowd started to swell. We were being pushed forward into the police officers, and one of the police officers pepper sprayed us, and then I was pushed to the ground.
Jasmine says she thinks a two-tiered pricing system discriminates.
Only those who would be able to afford these classes could take them.
The proposal was killed, and school officials are learning to live with less.
The Chancellor's office has estimated close to 280,000 students that we're not serving this year. 280,000 students that were locked out of the system.
Back at Sarah Lawrence, students are also wary of paying the price.
Sarah Lawrence has a price tag.
Megan Ragushka is the first person in her family to attend a four-year college. She's taken out loans, and she works part-time.
I work in the admissions office that's right over there, and I'm an interviewer for senior students that are coming in. And I'm also an RA on campus, so I am one of those resident advisors that comes and gives you cookies.
Next year, she's going to Harvard for a PhD in anthropology. But to get there, she's in the hole some $23,000.
I think that if you value education and you value what it gives to you, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit to get there, at least for me.
You don't need a PhD to wonder how much debt is too much. Sandy Baum says, do the math.
One rule of thumb is think about how much money you're likely to earn in the first few years that you're out of college, and try to keep your debt so it doesn't rise above your annual earnings level.
And then the $64,000 question: is it worth it?
Over a lifetime, college graduates earn about $1 million more than if you had a high school degree alone. But a college degree is not only about how much money you make, it's about being able to find a job that you love doing.
Mark Kantrowitz thinks it all adds up for governments, too.
Someone with a college degree pays twice as much in federal income tax as someone with just a high school diploma. People typically work for about 40 years over their lifetime, so they have 1 decade to pay back the government for the cost of the grants, and then 3 decades of pure profit to the federal government.
For Megan Ragushka, the question's a no-brainer.
Yes, and I would do it again and again and again.